And we should be live. Gonna presume we're good. Chris is in the house. Charlie's in the house. And fade out tunes. Cool sunglasses guy.
Thank you. They're in my picture. I figured people would recognize me, from
Yeah.
from our
When you're out on the streets.
Yes, I hope so, yeah.
I got to think of something. Okay, so it's now the 23rd of August. I'm Chris.
I'm Charlie.
And we are.
We're 8-balling. That's right.
All right, should we do our makeup question right off the bat?
Yeah, let's do one now and one on the end. You can you can ask away, but go ahead. And I'll do the one later.
Are we just beginning to see the craziness that is the new United States of America?
It's a good question. So to repeat, are we just beginning to see the craziness that is the new United States of America? That's a good one. Concentrate and ask again. Oh, you fucker. God. It's been giving us a lot of those lately.
All right. I'm vibing here. I'm vibing. Are we just beginning to see the craziness? Are we just getting started? Concentrating.
Yes, it says yes.
Ooh, I don't like that answer.
It's literally just one word. Yeah, yes.
Yes. Oh my. Me oh my.
Can't doubt the 8-ball. So yes, I'm not even surprised about that, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. But
yeah, we can get into that after you address COVID. There was somebody on a podcast, forget who it was, but it was like I don't know. It was not Joe Rogan by any stretch of the imagination. And this guy was saying, and he was talking about going to, God, who was it? Going to New York. And he's like, now that I'm, recognizable. And I'm like, dude, nobody walking down the streets of New York. God, I wish I remember who it was. Is going to even recognize you. This person was in such fantasy land. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
I don't know who it is, so it has no context. So that was a non-story, but anyway, that's my story.
That's okay.
Story.
We'll cut it out in post, in the post editing.
Right. We don't do post.
You'll find it on the floor of the cut room.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess I'll dive right into my thing just because it kind of is. The 8-ball question is relevant. The new craziness that is this United States. And you said, well, we can get into that after COVID, so I imagine that you're probably not thinking about what I am, which is I think this whole coronavirus thing, this is the new America. Like, it's the new, the face masks, that's like the new seatbelts, It's like, you got to always wear your face mask and mask it up, or, what I can't think of a click it or ticket, something like that, but I'm sure somebody will figure something out.
That is really
and
interesting.
The reason that this is kind of
I just analogized face masks and tickets, click it or ticket, like receiving a seatbelt ticket this morning. I was just playing all these scenarios in my head. Yes. That was remarkably coincidental. But you think coronavirus is not going away and wearing masks is going to be
I think
the new
it's
normal?
A super strong political tool. And it's even more so, it's a very, very strong fear that helps the government control people. And I know that's like, let me put on my tinfoil hat, right? But
are you talking
what is it otherwise?
Short, medium, or long term?
I think short term, maybe even medium, stretching into the medium at the very least.
So you're not thinking
until
forever.
2021, right?
Yeah, sometime into next year.
At the very least until after the election. There's
It's already political. It is already totally political. Here, let me give you
Kamala Harris and... Go ahead.
I'll give you a quick anecdote. I went to visit my mom 2 weekends ago, and in Milford, they call it the Milford Dream Cruise, and it's a weekly thing at a restaurant called Baker's, and they have a banquet hall in the back of this restaurant, so they have an enormous parking lot, and it's allegedly the largest repeating car show. It's just like a classic car show, but it repeats every weekend. I don't know if it's the state of Michigan or the country, but there's probably, I bet there's 1,000 people. It's pretty packed. So I was leaving my mom's, and I didn't even think that this would still be going on. I didn't think it would be going on, let alone what I saw. So it was going on. So just as a sociological observation, I decided to turn in and just look at it for, 3 to 5 minutes from my car. And I pull in, and there's a guy all tatted up, all his arms, tank top, shoulder, every bit of skin you can see except his face. And he's holding some petition that basically says, do away with the tyranny of masks and whatever else. And
Yeah.
the way these work is generally like at each car, somebody will have one of those kind of 6x6 or 8x8 tents, and there will be 2 to 5 or 6 people sitting under it all along. So there's like kind of a grassy knoll on each side as you come in, and then a lot of pavement. Other than a guy who appeared to be running the restaurant/car show, I did not see one mask.
And that's what.
And we're talking 6 people, 4 to 6 people generally under each tent, within 12 to 18 inches of each other, head to head. And then another tent that's 3 feet from that, and another, 3 to 5, 6 people, and on and on and on, including tons of people walking around, all of whom are within 3 to 5 feet of each other, sometimes less. Not one freaking mask. And again, probably around 1,000 people. And I'm like, oh my God.
And that's, that
it's
is
3
a
miles
perfect
from
anecdote.
the police station.
Yeah.
It's 3 miles from the police station, and it's every week. It's not like, we're just going to kind of have plausible deniability, and it's every week.
Right.
I couldn't
we're
believe
doing this.
it.
Yeah, we're doing it, and I love that, and that perfectly illustrates the point that I'm going to lead into here. And it's fresh in my mind because last night I went out. And we used to say breaking quarantine when this, early COVID days, but now it's just whatever. You're just living life with it. So I went out last night to the Detroit Athletic Club, which is like, for the listeners, pretty swanky, whatever, I guess you'd call it, like a country club in the city of Detroit.
But it has
it
has no golf club. It's a dining social club.
Yeah, it's like a bar and a lounge and whatever, and there's squat. You can play squash there and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, it's super nice. By the way, I'm not. I don't live amongst Detroit's elite, but the hookup, my lady friend there, Kate. Shout out Kate. She hooked it up and got me in. But the thing that was interesting to me is, first of all, they have signs right out front. Right, you gotta don't forget your mask. And it's polite, whatever. Which is funny. A lot of times it's like no mask, no entry, no shoes, no shirt, no mask, no.
Right.
Shoes. Right. So it's like whatever, kind of funny. Put your mask on. You go in. They have hand sanitizer at the door. There's nobody in the lobby really. It's just I guess you'd call it the help, whatever. The staff, a few guys wearing masks. You go in, whatever, no big deal. And then you go to the top floor to go to the restaurant and the bar and the lounge, all that stuff. The only people in there wearing masks are the employees. Not a single patron, unless they're like in transit in the hallway, and not even then sometimes, is wearing a mask. And I think that these people, it's just like they don't really think it's a risk anymore. Because at some point, if you're abiding by a rule, because of your own interests, and in this case it would be to keep yourself healthy, you'd be wearing the mask regardless. You're like, I'm in public, like based on what they're telling me, I just need to wear this constantly no matter what. But if you're just doing it to abide by like someone else's arbitrary rule because they're trying to enforce this kind of I don't even know what you would call it. I think arbitrary is the best way to put it, but you're not necessarily committed. You're just like, oh, I'll do it when I have to, when I'm walking around or if I'm entering the building. And I'm
the
like,
iro-
what the hell?
the ironic thing is, I don't look daily, but the last 2 times I've seen numbers for new infections in Michigan, one was this morning, and it was barely over 1,000. It was 1,000 and change. And the last one was maybe mid or late last week, and it was in the high 900s. And it had been in the 500 and 600 range for weeks prior. So
Yeah.
Michigan is trending up, and people are fucking just doing nothing about it.
I think that's what needs to happen. I think it needs to just play itself out.
It's unbelievably selfish. I mean, maybe it's Darwinism.
To do that?
But to do nothing, to not mask up.
Oh, no,
I mean,
I don't mean
there's
that.
2 ways.
I'm not saying...
Oh, I thought you meant the virus.
ahead.
Just let it run its course. Fuck it.
No, I mean, like, do your, your masking and your social distancing, so on and so forth. But, I don't know necessarily that everyone keeps saying this right now. It's the cure is worse than the disease. It's like how many people are, business owners are struggling right now. I don't want to say struggling to feed your family. I don't know if this is America. You can go to a church and get whatever, but, it seems to me like we're artificially altering the impact of this disease that would have had, certain deaths. I think we actually even had an episode, if you go back, where you and I do hypotheticals on the numbers, which were we were way over. I think we came up with 17 million dead or something like that. We're not even, yeah. So good job there, right? People did a good job, but
Right.
I don't know that it's first as lethal as it was made out to be, and
I agree. I think what's proving out is it's as or more infectious and significantly less lethal. But they've also found ways to manage it too. Pretty simple ways to manage it. And they're using remdesivir, and there might be some other cocktail with remdesivir, and they're finding very simple ways of treating this, simpler ways. And they're encouraging people to be more proactive. So are you saying that maybe not totally thought through, but there's a possibility that the cure is worse than the disease in terms of, economic hardship and that sort of thing?
I'm not even going to say it's not totally thought through. I think I know exactly what happened, and that it's a flawed political system that kind of is like, here's what we need to do. Here's the preliminary reports or the preliminary, I guess, projections. We're like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what we need to do to prevent things. Put it into effect. And now that we're in it right now, and we realize, hey, that we were way wrong or totally off about the impact that it would have on people, and maybe that's because we did everything. I don't know, but I think that there's a reluctance to kind of start reopening America because there's a political benefit to it. It's totally an election piece. All they're doing is bashing Donald Trump for how he ruined the economy and how he didn't handle this well. And it's one of two things. It's either people are dying, so it's his fault, or the economy is terrible, which is also his fault because people aren't dying. So it's
right.
And
so
if you listen to that speech, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you listen to that speech when Biden and Kamala Harris, announced it was their first speech together as running mates. That was all they talked about. And it's like, you can't have both. You can't be telling me that I'm doing a bad job with this virus when the numbers are, it's, a fraction of what we assumed, but this is the outcome. Then let's push it around. So you do want or you do want people to die who are going to die, or whatever the case is. There's just a huge political benefit, and I don't think that politicians in general, just to walk the straight line, I don't think that politicians in general really care about what's happening today, like really what the impact is, because it's like, I'm still getting paid. You're not really feeling the effect. As long as there's issues, there's something for you to do. You're not a private business owner or whatever the case is. It really doesn't affect you. And if you're not like feeling the struggle, maybe you're not feeling, oh, this is ridiculous, we need to act out. But I think the way that things are now, it's more valuable to leave it the way that it is, so that people are hurting, and then there's somebody to blame, the orange man bad, and you use that for an election. That's yes. Donald Trump.
I agree with you. I think there's more to the story in terms of, and most of it's historical, so maybe it kind of doesn't matter. But I just finished watching a podcast before this, and some of what's shitty is, and I highly suspected this when it was going on, which was in the beginning. Well, let's back up. So to your point, orange man bad. Donald Trump is not capable of creating and spreading a worldwide virus. Period. Nor is any single individual.
I'll agree with you.
Unless some dumbass literally violated protocol, and there's one individual who allowed this to escape a medical research lab in Wuhan, China. Maybe you can blame that guy if that's what happened. But in terms of it's anybody's fault, that's absurd. That's absurd. I will say I think that in the United States and maybe in the world, I think the fucking World Health Organization totally mismanaged this and whiffed. I think the CDC totally mismanaged this and whiffed. And I'll tell you, at least in terms of how. I think Trump could have done better, at least in terms of being a communicator and a leader. Who else whiffed? I mean, and a lot of others. So one of the things was, it was very, very apparent, and I blame the World Health Organization and the CDC for this, that we weren't prepared from a PPE standpoint and a medical equipment standpoint. Because while maybe there were other better remedies than ventilators, because it was something like, 20% of the people who went on ventilators survived and got off them?
Lived. Yeah. Lived, not died. It's 20% were.
Yeah, 20% got off.
It's like what? Yeah.
And and they found other ways, maybe more effective than ventilators, to handle some of the people.
Yeah.
But if ventilators were the answer, we weren't prepared. You don't know what's coming in terms of these novel diseases, right? So just in terms of fucking face masks and medical equipment and some sort of procedure in terms of managing supply chain, triaging, all that, we were fucking flat on our feet. The United States of America, the country that's supposed to have all the money, all the systems, all the capabilities, everything in place. The one thing we're really capable of is handling any kind of armed conflict in terms of foreign people, not necessarily domestic. Right? We're really good at that. You want to scuttle a couple of, submarines, destroyers for a naval encounter, an aircraft carrier and some special ops guys for a skirmish here or there. We're the shit. But for this one, man, we were just shit. It was awful. And what I blame a lot of people for, including Trump, and let me back up on this one. I've said before, and it's been a while, for me, and Trump's never been this guy, one of the most important things that the President of the United States can and often needs to do is to get in front of
Stay calm.
everybody and say, I'm in charge and everything's going to be okay. I'm in charge
Everything's
and
gonna be
everything's going to be okay. So that there's not mayhem in the fucking streets. So Trump's never been good at that. And, you know I'm not a Trump fan. And most of why I don't like the guy isn't policy stuff. He's just so fucking... He's just a bullshitter. And he's not... He's just full of shit. He's full of shit. Oh, quick tangent here. Did you see where his sister recorded some stuff and his great niece or granddaughter or something released it?
No.
Oh, it's brand new news. It broke yesterday or this morning. And she's like, he's a
Is it, like,
liar. He's
damning stuff?
insincere. Oh, yeah, it's bad. It is not
Oh, wow.
good. It is not going to play. It will not bode well. So it's his sister. And she's like, he's a bullshitter, liar. You can't trust anything he said. He's a manipulator, and he has been his whole life, and it's who he is. And that's been my opinion of the guy anyway. Again, some of his policy actually hasn't been awful, but he just gets up there. He was talking about a hurricane. He was talking about a hurricane in the last week. And I don't know if it's one of the ones that's currently headed towards New Orleans or whatever, but he goes, and it's going to be bad. Maybe the worst they've ever seen. He always says shit like that. Best they've ever seen, worst they've ever seen, the greatest ever. Dude, he can't help himself. Everything is totally fucking sensational because everything's about him. But anyway.
Okay. Let me.
But let me make my point on
Or you go,
coronavirus.
okay.
So let me just run through these. So what the CDC didn't fucking do, and Donald Trump didn't do, and other leaders, in terms of PPE, was at least tell the truth and say, look, we have a shortage of PPE. We were caught surprised. We were unprepared. And you could even blame, you could blame Obama or Bush or whoever for not being prepared. But I think it would have helped everybody, and I always think it's the right thing to do, to tell the truth and frame it in a way that it's not negative, which is we don't have enough PPE. Right now, wearing masks in public would be advisable. And then at that point, you could have done the thing on teaching people to make their own masks. But do not go on eBay. Do not go on Amazon. Do not hoard PPE that we need for our first line responders. Doctors, nurses, EMTs, those sorts of things. They should have just told the truth, because people who could hoard did hoard, right? Fucking toilet paper disappeared. Masks that were available online disappeared. Wipes, disinfectant, alcohol, all that shit just went away. You know what? Tell grown-ups the truth. Be a grown-up and tell the truth. But again, WHO whiffed, CDC whiffed. I blame them more than anybody. Trump did a poor job. But, being prepared for a pandemic, that's, it takes years to prepare for something like that. Years and years. So that's not on him. But fucking A. There was just lies and whitewashing, and I think it was a debacle. And that's in the rearview mirror now, right? Because it is what it is. So that plays into you saying...
Sorry, my point was more related to how you view Trump or what bugs you about him. So I'll backtrack in order to come full circle. But what you mentioned, you said, hey, this guy always does this. He's always doing this. It's like, it bugs me that he's always, it's the worst hurricane ever. Don't shoot guns at the hurricane. Bullets will come back around. He's all like, if he's always like that, you don't. The way that I think that you should handle something like that is not to then invoke the same emotional reaction for each occurrence, but you alter your expectation so that you're now aware of it, prepared, and then you adjust for the outcome, right? So the path's unfolding before you, and you're just navigating as it goes. Now, the thing, how that ties into COVID is,
I'm so
my tongue right now. Sorry. I know that was going to bother you, but just let me finish my thing.
No, I'll
and then let
respond.
you
Keep
rebut.
going.
So what's happening with COVID? I think was that first of all, just like you said, WHO, CDC. I feel like they're waiting their whole lives for something like this. Like not like they're hoping for it, but they're like, this is why we exist, and what we need to pull out all the stops, and this is
For
the
sure.
big, And it's almost
Yeah.
like you're itching to have sex for the first time or whatever, and you're just like, bam, but you're like, oh, 5 seconds and it's over. We did it all too much.
Right. In
wasn't
a
really
perverse
as good.
way.
Like,
In a perverse way, it's very exciting for them. Right?
yes, and that's exactly what I mean. I think that they blew their wad way too early, and it was a total overreaction. And they might have been it was either ineptitude or just like you said, a perverse kind of exciting thing going on that they just wanted to take advantage of. Which whatever.
I don't think it's even arguable that. Sorry, I'm just checking. My mom
Go ahead.
had surgery on Thursday. Just checking a text.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Where was I? Oh,
You were gonna rebut my.
well, no. They failed. They fucking, but they failed. They still failed.
Yeah.
I mean, they can revel in a pandemic, which I would get because, you sit around and plan for the worst and hope for the best. But if the worst comes and you knock it out of the park behind closed doors, you're like, we fucking rock. We knocked it out of the park, which I get. That's human nature, right? And it's,
Yes,
I have
whatever.
I
This
have
is their
lived,
job. Yeah.
yeah, for the last 30 years I've been planning for this, and we fucking nailed it. And guess what? They've been planning the last 30 fucking years, and they fell flat on their face. And all I was going to say about Trump was, I'm not even going to rebut what you said. That what you said is fair. My response to that is, I reserve the right to be annoyed by this guy on a daily basis.
You totally do, but you just have to. If you're going to reserve that right, you have to also concede that he is not the one who is making you feel that way. You're choosing to feel that way.
I disagree. It's a tango,
I
and
think
it
you're
always
wrong.
takes two to tango. He's a bullshitter, and bullshitters bug me, and that'll never go away. He's an insincere, fucking childish bullshit guy who somehow made it to the Oval Office, and that bugs me.
Okay, so the difference is that when I hear him say, everything's great, everything's going very well, we're doing the best, everything, there's no problems anywhere. I just am like, yes, there's problems. He's just talking right now. He's just optics. He's an optics guy. I think he probably does his best work behind closed doors. Like you said, some of his policy decisions haven't been the worst, but his persona is like flawed to the, worst degree, but I don't let that affect me just because I hear him talk. I'm like, yeah, I just learned to read between the lines and see through the bullshit. And now it's just bullshit, and it's information that I process and remove an emotional reaction to, which is the way that you should perceive it. Same way as you should with the coronavirus. When you see it's not as bad, you just kind of let it slide. And you're like, maybe we should open up businesses again. People shouldn't be fucking losing their livelihoods because we thought it was going to be bad, and now we're kind of learning how it works. Bam. See that?
Well,
If I could draw a little circle.
coronavirus and Trump are two entirely different things. And
I just mean in a problem-solving manner. This is 3D chess. You have to apply.
I'm just going to say, I'm a human being. He really fucking bugs me. He is so immature.
And that's okay. You have the right for that.
Right. I cannot, and you're right, I choose not to get over it. He fucking bugs me. You know what's a really important thing to me? And this is never going to go away. And it gets refreshed second by second, minute by minute, hour, day, week, and on, is integrity. If you don't have fucking integrity, I'm going to have a problem with you. And that guy's got no integrity, and I don't like him. I do not personally like him. I can't stand watching him speak. He's the president of the United States, and he, I believe, has absolutely no concept of the idea of decorum at all. And that
I
bugs
can agree
me.
with that.
And So fine, that's my problem. That I accept that. But there's a lot of people who have the same problem as me. He's the fucking president. And who
it's
knows
just
if the
shocking
guy
to me that-
ever, who knows if the guy ever really thought he would get elected, and or intended to be elected, but now he's president and he's like, my interpretation of what's going on. He's like, fucking A, I'm president. Well, let's fucking do this. Cool. And to him, it's just
Okay,
something he's doing for 4 or maybe 8 years.
Okay, so, and let me throw this out there. This isn't for you. This is my hatred of rubes, or in other words, people who vote. Then where's the I want, what would the term be? Efficacy. I want equilateral sentiment across the board. If that is going to be your judgment call, that he lacks integrity and decorum, which, two separate things, but if the integrity thing, every single fucking they're all terrible people. Just let me call that out. Both sides of the aisle, they're all fucking liars. I did not have sex with that woman. We're going after WMDs. We're just collecting metadata. It's just metadata, and it's they're all that stuff. These are all blatant lies.
I agree. I agree.
And I know it's not for you.
I had a little bit of respect for Nancy Pelosi until this coronavirus thing. And then she just turned into what, and maybe she's always been a fucking liar, and it just became more apparent because I'm a little more informed on this one than the other bullshit.
No, she's actually becoming more flippant with her shit as time goes on. I've noticed that too.
Yeah. Anyway, back to what you were, yes.
Yeah. So what I'm just saying, and now I just want there to be, if you're going to call it as it is, the judgment, like lay the judgment on thick as much as you like. I think we need more of that in politics, but then do it across the board, because right now, fucking Joe Biden just picked Kamala Harris as his running mate, a woman who called him basically essentially a racist and that he was a sexual harasser or whatever on stage. And what does she say? It was a debate. Have you seen that interview, that clip? She just says, it was a debate. It was a debate. She said it 5-6 times. And it's like, you're a fucking liar.
I gotta kind of agree with that. You're trying to knock people down.
No, you're a liar. Yes, but then, so her point is that anything that I say in a debate is just to impress Americans, and I don't really mean it. It's like, what is that the definition of, if not a liar? You're like, I just say what I need to say to get my point across, and so that I can win. Well, and then the fact that he even picked her after she made those remarks to him is an indicator that he's even less concerned with the integrity of it, because he was the subject of the insult.
No, that's a good point. That's a really good point that I hadn't thought about. Like, what the fuck's wrong with him that he's picking some woman that said, there was some sexual impropriety thing she and others brought up, if I'm remembering right. Is that right? When he was way younger.
And he was like, why are we doing an investigation? The racism thing to me is like,
I was going to dismiss. I mean, when you're on stage, your job is to crush people and bring them down because you want to be president. That, fine. I can see past that. But you're right. There's definitely some irony there that you'd pick somebody who tried to bring you down personally with some, borderline kind of sleazy tactics.
Not even borderline. It's the most sleazy thing ever. It's a trick, and and you get this. The point is that
I get it.
He understands that,
and I'm gonna think about it more because and now I want to go back and see some of that shit because that's really interesting. You pick somebody who fucking threw you under the bus, and you're talking about
you didn't
how much
even believe it enough. Yeah.
Well, and you're talking about how much she's going to be your right hand man, so to speak, and you trust her, and she's totally the right person. That's kind of sad.
And it's either because, first of all, those two are slinging that shit across the aisle at Trump on a daily basis. That speech was like there little black and brown boys and girls all over the world are going to be inspired. Okay. Either the dude is a racist because you're calling him one, or the whole thing is a tactic, and you are admitting that by tapping this chick to be your running mate after she did the same thing to you because you know that it's just a trick and it's
Well,
a tactic, and
I
you're
say he's a racist. You
fucking
know why I
ridiculous.
say he's a racist?
because he
Because
hates black
because
people.
he picked a
Why?
VP based on skin color.
Oh, you mean Biden? Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's yeah, and he's like, one of the
I'm
reasons
just
that I
taking
picked her or
racist and
whatever.
flipping it on its head.
Yeah, he's. Well, no, sorry. People who are stupid, maybe you got flipped on their head there, but yeah, racism is in all shapes and colors. It doesn't go just one way. There was that term for a
Right.
while,
No, I'm
reverse
just-
racism, where it's
Y-
like, no,
you-
that's just regular racism.
Right. And
Yeah.
when he
So-
said,
Right.
I think before he was the, nominee elect or whatever the word is, I think he said that if I am nominated to be president, I am going to choose a woman as my running mate. Well, I know he said that. I don't remember when and at what point in the progression it was. But, I don't care if the president's a woman. I think the right woman could do a perfectly fine job. I don't care for the exact same reasoning that a VP would be, a woman would be VP. But to say, I am going to pick a fill in the gender as my VP, you have just cut your pool of potentially viable and capable and perhaps your best choice in half, right? 50-50.
If not more so, because we have to look at the the prevalence of females in politics as.
Well,
you
that's
know,
why I said
it's different in
That's
industries,
why I
but yeah.
said fill in the blank, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if it's, I agree. I was trying not to get too
Right.
into the statistics, but yeah, you just highly diluted your pool of potential good people. So, whatever. Whatever. So here's what I was going to
It's
say,
silly.
and think about this. Donald Trump gets reelected. So what will happen is, I think, the glommers on, the hijackers, the whomeverers that took BLM from a concept that, Black Lives Matter and we need to improve policing and really start taking a harder look at equality of opportunity. And, let's really try to get this right. I really think that Antifa and other people have taken BLM to a whole different level. And when I say hijacked, did the things like break windows, throw rocks at police, incite violence, to make it something else entirely different. So where I'm going with this is, if Trump gets elected, I think that goes on steroids. What's going on right now goes on steroids. I think that if Biden gets elected, you're going to see like, what is it, Poor Boys?
What? Proud Boys?
Proud Boys. Proud Boys,
I still have a pin.
white
Should wear it.
nationalists, just,
Wait, did you know that I was in the Proud
hyper-conservatives.
Boys?
I did not. And I'm sure that's,
I have a pin. Yeah, it's not white nationalist group at all. But
I know
go
what
ahead.
Proud Boys is. I didn't lump
Oh,
them
okay,
in.
good. Yeah.
Proud Boys,
Yeah, they're
comma.
not. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I-
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway,
they're just whatever peppy. Yeah.
So if Biden gets elected, certain groups, people who are pro-gun, who knows what he's going to do there, or pro-Second Amendment is a better way to put it. Whatever else. There is going to be a reaction, whether it's a heightened version of what's going on now or a brand new one should Biden get elected, which is going to be worse for the country.
I think
And there's no way of
if
knowing.
Biden gets elected, I think if No, there's not. That's why we talked to the 8 ball. But if Biden gets elected, I would almost I would almost bet money on it that Kamala Harris will be president at some point within the next 4 years. Just
it's
calling
funny.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the guy can make it 4 years. Although, did you see his speech?
It was a fucking teleprompter. He's just reading a script.
No, I get that, but he struggled to appear composed
Oh,
in front of a teleprompter for much, much, much shorter periods of time in the past.
I thought-
So the
Yes.
speech was good. His speechwriters did a very good job in terms of him saying what he needs to say to get elected. So the speech was good in that regard. And then in terms of him being as gathered as he's been in the last however many, months or year, whatever you want to pick, when it was kind of clear that he was slipping, he did a really good job. Because that 3, 4, 5 minutes, however long that speech was, he hung on and got through it. And there was one little stumble, but that was it, and it was minor. And I'm wondering, and somebody proselytized this, if I pronounced that right, that they have definitely got him on the right medication to deal with the brain issues, whatever they might be that he's got going on right now, which would make a lot of sense.
Okay, well, right medication or not, the cracks are starting to show, and I think he's a ticking time bomb in that regard.
Oh, I agree.
But
I'm not
yeah,
saying he's fixed.
the thing that right.
Let me just say this real quick and then go. It's
Go
just,
ahead.
to me, it's very clear that he has been better in the last handful of weeks.
I'd say that that's probably true, but I also think that they're doing a really good job of keeping him out of the spotlight. He has not done an interview with a reporter. Did you see who he did an interview with? Cardi B, a fucking rapper. What?
I heard
By the way,
about
who's like
that.
an ultra millionaire goes, I want free healthcare. It's like, what the fuck are you? You don't want free healthcare. You want fucking free universal healthcare for everybody. That's not. At least get it right, right? She was talking about like how hard it is to like have kids and like raise kids, and she's like, yeah, because when you get kids, then you got to get a babysitter. It's like you have to have kids so you can have someone else take care of them. I'm like, whatever. Doesn't matter. The point is, and if you watch that interview,
that's really funny. That is very funny.
That is
and
funny, yeah.
ironic.
she goes like having kids, and then you have to pay someone to take care of them. You're like,
Right.
what the fuck? Yeah,
Right, so I can go
Right.
off and not be.
'cause
A
I'm not
mom.
gonna do that shit. Yeah, exactly.
I need a wet
Um,
nurse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If those still exist, I'm sure they do. But oh damn, I had a good point.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I couldn't stay off wet nurse.
Damn, wet nurse was joke about that still. Fuck, what was I talking about? Cardi B. Anyway, I lost it. It's
All right,
gone, but
guys.
I'll just move on.
All right.
The point being that they are doing a really good job of keeping him off camera. But like, you're totally right. During a campaign mode, when like he was going around doing those little town hall things everywhere, that dude's he's a nut. Remember the episode we talked about where I bet you that he would threaten Donald Trump with violence? Like, that dude was losing his shit. If Donald Trump brings up his son or whatever, the BS relationship between him and Kamala, anything that like calls him out on it like a
Well,
liar.
when you say his son,
to his
do you mean
face.
Hunter and in Ukraine or his son
Hunter
who
and
passed away?
everything. How about
Hopefully,
well-
his son who passed away is off limits. See, I wouldn't
Yeah,
put
I would hope so.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
put something fucked up with Trump's dumbass spin on bringing that up. If Trump has a lot of opportunity here to shoot himself in the foot, because Biden
Trump
is far more in the Hunter thing and Ukraine. There's a lot of mileage to get.
what
out
about
of that.
Hunter and crack?
Oh yeah, but anyway, Biden is a guy you can like, you can feel sorry for, you can look at as a father figure. You know, he's a vet. There's a lot of Trump's got to be careful, because if it becomes, you know, like Little Hands Marco or low energy Jeb or whatever, if he takes that too far, it will not serve him so well. Because Biden's
It
kind of
totally will.
he totally will.
Totally will.
I think
He'll
you're right.
benefit from it. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'm telling you right now, it'll energize the shit out of his base to see him. This guy is clearly I don't want to like. Wait. I think you and I already agreed on this in a past episode. Incapable mentally currently of doing this job. I think that ship has sailed, and he's just propped up right now. I don't want to say a stuffed suit
Trump.
because it's like more. No. Biden. The guy
Both of them.
cannot. He can't
Both
do
of
the
them.
job.
But anyway,
What?
both of them. But anyway,
I'll stick with just Biden for now. But that guy, if you're calling him out on his shit, like actually, like did you see what he flipped out on the reporter because he asked him, a black guy by the way, he goes, which I guess proves he's not a racist. He treats everybody equally. He said, "Did you
I
get
gotta
a
hear the
mental? What the fuck? Mental acuity test or whatever?" And the guy said, "No. Why would I?" Biden goes, "No, man. Why would I take a test like that? Come on. Did you take a test whether or not you do cocaine before you started this job? Huh? Are you a junkie?" And he's like, he lost his shit because the dude asked him a simple question. It's like, if you can't handle that, how are you going to handle fucking Trump with his haymakers on a debate stage where you're not ready for anything and your handlers are away? You don't have your little speech. You don't have anything written out. Like, I think it's going to be so, like, almost orgasmic of a slang. There's no coming back from that. There's going to be a lot of good sound clips.
That's for sure. I say this flippantly, but I'm smiling because I believe it. They'll fucking medicate him. They'll medicate Biden to deal with this.
You think they'll just give him like shit tons of Xanax? It'll be like no anxiety, just no anger, just like dumb it down.
There's a lot of brain drugs, man. Whatever keeps him as acute as he can be, and you know, should he need tempering in terms of not allowing Trump to knock him off his rocker, fucking A, man. I wouldn't put it past, you know, handlers. I wouldn't put it past him to get highly handled. Highly.
He is.
That,
I think that
speech,
he's just doing whatever they say, and yeah.
I mean, everybody has speech writers, so he clearly didn't write that speech. It was a good speech for him, for what he needed to say, for the message he needed. Because right now, Trump supporters are going nowhere. Trump's got probably 30% locked up. And then there's 10% that's kind of his to lose. So he's got 40%, we'll just say all, you know, kind of his to lose. That leaves a huge, huge gap. Because I think I think
Biden's going to turn him away.
I don't know, man. This is going to be a very, very interesting election. You know what's going to be really interesting? Is
Voting
if we indeed, and I don't think Trump is doing it for the reasons he says, but this whole voting by mail is potentially a disaster waiting to happen, both from a logistics standpoint.
Do you mean how they're going to let?
How do you
mean? Because there's two things going on.
Run an election in a manner that it's never been run before? That's first. So the first time you do something and you're literally dealing with hundreds of millions, or call it over 100 million variables, that being each fucking vote, for the first time in something as huge a world event as a presidential election. And then I do agree that if you just mail out mailers, what's to keep, let's say you got a household and you got an 18, a 20-year-old and a 22-year-old all still living at home who otherwise wouldn't vote.
And you're like, check. Biden. Yeah, or whatever.
Right. So let's say,
of course, that's the main concern.
That the mother or the father is highly directs that house on what we're doing. You have basically just turned one vote into 4 or 5.
And I promise you this: my grandmother just died. What was that? 3 weeks ago. If
Are they going to get her off the books before that thing goes to...
they're going to fucking send her a thing for her to vote. I promise you.
Right, that's what I was saying.
One will show up
Are they
for
going to get her off the books
yeah.
in time to not send her something?
Yes.
Right,
And
so
the
then
answer
this
is
goes
no.
to a
There's
care
no way.
facility, and they'll be like, oh, that's why I was saying, who knows how long this could take, right? So what if somebody, right, we all got a camera, a lot of people have podcasts. What if you and I get on here? What if you're aware of that? And the day after the election, November, whatever it is, we get on a podcast and you say, I know for a fact that my grandma, who passed away in August, received a
Voted for
freaking
Donald
ballot.
Trump.
Right? And we throw this up on Facebook and wherever else, Twitter, and it goes viral. And all of a sudden, there's a reasonably believable anecdote that somebody who's dead just voted. What do you do? And I would not put it past, and there's a point that whoever loses would sue to, I don't know how the fuck you rectify this, but sues to somehow rectify this. And my God,
the solution
what
is
a
to not let it happen.
What a mess that would be. Right. We got a system, because right now, I don't want to go in a polling place. Fuck that. So now I can go apply for my absentee ballot. And somewhere between a couple of weeks and a couple of months from now, that's not a bad idea either. But a couple of weeks or a couple of months from now, I'll get my absentee ballot and I fill it out. I drop it in the mail. Bam, done. But to just willy-nilly mail out ballots, wow, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
then how you collect them,
no,
and how you count them. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I meant you can go online and request your absentee ballot. That's all you got to do. It's and they'll ship it to you. And you should do that. If you have the ability to do that, and you're worried about, like yourself, worried about going in a public place where God knows what the fuck germs are going on now, and people with their, diminished immune systems, right? What the, if you can do that, why would you possibly do that? Why would you send them out en masse like that? And I think it's because you're kind of hoping for a voter fraud situation. At the very least, you're aware that it's going to happen, right? That's a good point. I'm going to keep an eye out if that voter ballot comes in, and I'll hang on to it, and we'll do it on the show. I'll have it. But I'll be death certificate, ballot.
But there's two things. Yeah. There is I see a risk of voter fraud or abuse, again, where, you got 3 young voters who otherwise would not participate. And the mom or dad says, you're voting this way. Or they say, I'm not voting. And you say, well, give me that. I'll fucking fill it out for you. I mean, that's
going to be a bigger problem. You're right.
Yeah. So that's an issue. And then, again, to take something as large as an event that, over 100 million people participate in, that is a very mature process, and it happens in a day, and you're going to try to manage it in a way that is completely different than it's ever been managed before, it will not go smoothly. I promise you.
No way.
Right? Yeah. I've been
and it's not
right. I've been in the professional world for 32 years. And when you do large overhauls on fucking ERP system for a Fortune 500 company or whatever, there are bugs, right? And this is not something you want to start a science experiment with. Bad.
You're not voting
fucking
for who has the
news.
best smile in your high school yearbook. Yes, it's not who's the best dressed or whatever.
No. I'm talking more just this process. Instituting a new process by which you collect votes. Oh man, oh man, oh man. It's a better idea
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's
to
not,
just
yeah,
go old
you don't want to mess
fashioned
around with it.
and have people who are scared of coronavirus not vote than to do something completely new that has all kinds of variables that are unforeseen and will only get discovered when the problems happen. Not wise.
Yeah, sorry. It's ridiculous. I think Trump's doing the right thing by trying to shut that shit down. He'd be like, no, we're not fucking doing that.
Do you think there's any truth to these allegations that he is like mandating?
Stealing
They showed like
mailboxes.
two. Well, no, they showed two very, what looked to me as a guy who knows machinery, looked to me to be very, very antiquated mail sorting machines that were in warehouses. So taking things that had been capital equipment and not knowing what to do with them and or not destroying them so you can continue to feloniously depreciate them while they're not in use. You take them down and you stick them in a warehouse. So they showed these two old, it's called relay logic. They're not even, computers don't even run them anymore. They look to be these old relay logic type of machines that were in warehouses, and they're like, Trump did this. Do you think he would fuck with the postal system to debilitate them to handle this process?
I don't think that he can, right? Like, isn't
I don't know.
post office its own thing? Like, it was, post offices existed before the United States of America, so.
Look, the dude wants
think
to
they have
shoot
their own
fucking nuclear missiles into hurricanes, you know, and suggested
What
that
if we
people
just nuked it?
inject themselves with Clorox to shock their system and get coronavirus.
Did you
out
ever
of
go
them.
back and rewatch that?
I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times.
Oh, okay. Well, there was that episode we talked about it, and I was like, you have to go back and rewatch it because that's not what he's saying. But yes.
I think
it
it
says
is.
disinfectant, first of all. No. I won't let you pass that off on him.
That's
But,
what I think. You can. I think because he looked at the fucking medical professionals with a look like this, and they were like, "Oh my God, we're not dignifying that with any response." I think whatever. It's not worth arguing about.
I'll let you have it.
I think you meant it.
But okay,
There's
I'll
no
let you
way
have
to
that.
know.
I'm not whatever.
There's no way to know. I don't know that. It's just what I think. Hey, let's shoot a fucking.
I've
nuclear
spoken with a guy
warhead.
who worked at Fort Detrick on the thing that they were talking about. Yeah.
Clorox injections.
Not literally Clorox. It's like a. You ever heard of like an aerosolized medicine? So it's like. Whatever. It's like, imagine an aerosol. It's like vaporous, and you inhale it. Whatever.
No,
it's supposed to help
right,
your
I-
lungs. The
I get
point
that.
is, it's like a. Disinfectant. Whatever. He meant like something to kill the germs if they're in their body, like to kill the disease, like by doing it in your body. And I talked to a guy who worked at Fort Detrick who was working on that. He was like, "That's what we're doing. It's not insane." And I was like, "Oh
Okay,
shit."
I get that,
Yeah.
but
That's what he was
Trump
talking
used
about.
the word disinfectant, and I think he used the word
Yeah.
injection.
That's what you're doing. You're injecting, and it's whatever. It's
I just
different
think,
than ingesting, yes, but
I just think the question he asked may have not been an unreasonable first thought for a guy who's kind of an idiot.
I think you
But
have to
it's
be
what
really,
he
really
said.
dumb. I don't think he's that dumb. I think that's.
I don't-
I think that you're being unfair.
I think Trump is a midwit at best. At best.
I don't believe that for a second.
there's no way to really know because he's just so fucking socially elusive.
That's fair, but I don't know. I think it is what it is.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of my little, and I'm kind of holed up in this house.
Yeah.
More than most. So one of the things, I'm getting older. I was on the phone with a close friend, and I go out on the driveway and turn on my sprinkler system, and I watch it. It's like therapeutic, just watching the water spray back and forth, Yeah. So it's the noise, and at least I'm outside, and I got this super cool sprinkler system that operates from my phone a few years ago, and I just need to get out of the house, and I'm in my 50s, and apparently watering your lawn is something that amuses you as you get older and simpler and less creative, apparently. Anyway,
You were
what the hell
literally
was my
watching
point?
grass grow.
I kind of, yeah. I was watching part of the process of grass growing, yeah.
You're watching
For
grass
sure.
eat. Yeah.
What the hell was my point?
Drink.
What did you say before that? I lost my train of thought. Why the hell I was
yawned,
sharing this?
and then you changed course. You said you're getting
Oh.
older.
Yeah, so I was on the phone with a friend, and I said to her, just these are bizarre times. It's still a bizarre time that we're living in. And that was in reference to something you said. I was going to hone in on something. Now I can't remember. I'm old and failing.
They have to get you on those Joe Biden drugs, make your memory
That's
work.
right, man. What's that dude
What?
taking?
What?
I want some of that. Right? The people don't know there's a teleprompter in front of me. Charlie's feeding me stuff. That's
I've
why he
been
can't
typing
see
this
his
whole time,
hands.
that's
He's
why
on a
you can't see my
keyboard, right?
hands. Yeah.
Right.
It's like one of those like a court stenographer. I'm just like going really quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And right
I just
behind
want
the
him
window.
to be like
there's
one
you.
day, just be like, yeah. Who's my running mate? Oprah? Is that Oprah? Oh, Kamala Harris? Yeah, it'd be like, no, Joe, oh, God. He's just kidding. Let's go back behind stage now, Joe. I kid.
Oh
but
my God! You just made me think of Weekend at Bernie's.
yes, kind of like that. Yeah, it's like he's just like this corpse. Have you seen the video of when she literally has to pull him off camera? His
No.
wife?
No.
She literally has to like take him off because he's like, what are we doing now? He's like, is this it?
No, really? How long
And
ago
she
was
like walks up and is like, I can find it for you. It was during his campaigning.
Yeah.
I want to say post-COVID PC.
The one thing that stands out for me was I forget what he was referring to, but it was pretty. I don't know. It was like might have been the Second Amendment, might have been like the Constitution or whatever. He goes, if you read the it's out there, the thing, and I'm like, oh my God,
You know what the word is. Yeah. He was saying the Lord's Prayer. And
The
that's what he
thing.
did.
the thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man, this is. But yes,
That's not
backing
good.
up to your point, I think there's a decent chance that Kamala Harris will run this country if the two of them win the election. How are we on time?
Hey, at
I
very
think
least,
we're
if
right
she-
about there.
We're over an hour, yeah.
Finish that thought, and then let's
And then I'll ask my 8-ball question.
summons the 8-ball
Um,
and wrap.
At the very least, if she becomes president, I will no longer fear for my life as other people smoke marijuana and victimize me by that because she'll just put them all in jail because that's what she does, is put black people in jail, which is super fucked up. But that's who they wanted and that's who they're getting. So you sowed these wicked oats and now you get to fucking eat them.
So she's the true Law and Order candidate.
Hard on crime. It's like she's totally anti-black community. I don't see how they were like, I'm surprised someone hasn't called her like an Uncle Tom yet. They're like, you're fucking, how many black people did you put in jail for smoking pot? A literally victimless crime. you're putting all these people in jail. I don't know. Whatever. She's terrible. Biden's not terrible. He's just pitiful. And Trump is a whole other story. So fucking see how it goes.
That's the perfect thing to end it on, man. That was a nice little synopsis.
I'm glad.
All right, 8
Good.
Ball. What's your question?
Is this new America that Chris is talking about, is COVID being used primarily as a political tool, even though there's no real threat? You may rely on it. You may rely on it. Didn't even say
Yikes.
yes. It said you may literally rely on it. I would show you, but it would go away.
I
You
believe
may
you.
rely on it. I'm relying on it. I have my fingers crossed that I wouldn't just say no. I'd be like, oh shit. So the 8 Ball just backed me up. There's no
All right.
threat, and it's a political tool. So you're welcome.
There's no question in my mind. At the very least, it's a lever, which is in and of
totally.
itself a tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. You good?
Well, yeah, I'm good.
What was your well thought going to be?
I was gonna say, stay safe, mask it up, folks. You know, click it or ticket.
Click it or
all I
take it,
got.
man. All right. Little tunage. A little say goodbye to Chris. Whoops. I'll get this right one of these times. Ah,
The
damn.
music's gone now too.
and
It's okay.
we're back. And say goodbye to Charlie. And
Peace.
later, people.